And welcome to Boomerang, West Lothian's weekly talking newspaper. It's Friday the 11th of April, and this evening it's Team 2 who are bringing you the local news from around the county, which is taken from this week's Courier with permission. I'm Rebecca, and also reading for us tonight are just Sarah. Jane won't be with us this evening as she's in Las Vegas, and poor Joanne is choked with cold. Diane is in charge of the recording and editing, which we all very much appreciate. Well, I hope you're enjoying this beautiful spring weather we're having just now. I'm happy to get a bit of work done in the garden when it's sunny like this, because I'm a fair weather gardener. Now, I don't think there's anything in the postbag, so we can go on with the news.
Keeping Jackson's name alive after tumour tragedy. An article by Lee Dalgetty. A heartbroken family who lost their son after he was given a terminal diagnosis says it's the worst thing that's ever happened. Dave and Ashley Mackenzie's world was shattered last April after they noticed their son Jackson was slurring his speech. The couple from West Lothian also spotted that the youngster, who was 6 years old at the time, seemed to have developed a lazy leg. They rushed him to A&E, but within days, medics told them Jackson had a brain tumour and he was given just 9 to 12 months to live. Dave, a firefighter in Broxburn, said Jackson was fit and happy before their lives were turned upside down. Jackson passed away in December, and the family's keeping his name alive after launching a charity in his name, Jackson's Gift. Dave told our sister title, Edinburgh Live, it was April 15th last year. I can't even put into words how we felt. It was the worst thing that's ever happened to any of us. It came out of the blue. Jackson was a fit, happy 6-year-old, but over the space of a few days we noticed his speech was a bit slurred and he had almost a lazy leg. This was over a weekend, and by the Sunday we took him up to St John's in Livingston. They gave him a CT scan and we thought it was maybe a stroke. There was a kind of shadow, and he was sent to the sick kids in Edinburgh. By Monday morning he was given an MRI, and they told us it was a diffuse midline glioma, a terminal brain tumour. There was very little they could do. The risks with operating are so high, and we were told he would live for around 9 to 12 months. Dave says their daughter Ada has been struggling since Jackson's passing. She had not long turned 2 when Jackson was diagnosed, and since he passed it's been really hard for her. She's been really good, but she misses him every day. They were so close. He was the protective big brother, so it's tough on her. Dave and Ashley, who were both 36, felt they couldn't have got through the ordeal without the community around them. Dave said we were getting text messages from everyone. Some of them would say, no need to reply, but just know we're thinking about you. They were some of the nicest, most comforting messages we got. It sounds simple, but anyone going through something similar, comfort each other. See somebody just coming up to you, putting their hand on your shoulder and saying, I'm thinking of you. That helped me and comforted me. Some people don't know what to say, but that's enough. Thanks to other small charities, Dave said he and Ashley were able to make lots of nice memories while dealing with Jackson's diagnosis, something they now hope to pass on. The couple is now looking to support other families with children and young people who have been affected by a cancer diagnosis. The community support has helped them launch Jackson's Gift, with Dave's best friend Stuart having a helping hand in getting the ball rolling. He continued, it was Stuart that did the lion's share. It was purely up to him that the charity has got to where it has. He researched into how to set up a charity and got everything going. He's been the main one doing it and did the majority of the work. All through last year, we were appointed as social worker through the sick kids in Edinburgh. She told us at the start that if Jackson needed or wanted anything to let her know. He was put on a steroid which made him gain weight, so she got him new clothes. She got him an iPad. She helped get funds for us to go to Disneyland. It was absolutely amazing. She was able to do this by working with small charities which donate money. And because of that help that we got, we now want to do the same for others with the charity. We want to give back because our community, friends and family and people nearby have done loads for us. fundraising and events and everything, and we made loads of nice memories last year. Doing the charity is allowing us to keep talking about him. It was difficult at the start. Nobody wanted to mention his name in case we got upset. Talking about him is helping. It keeps his name alive and keeps him alive for us, really.
NHS worker stabbed own wife to death, and this article is by Grant McCabe. An NHS worker murdered his wife just weeks after an earlier domestic abuse case collapsed. Kasikai Chinyanga, 47, brutally killed Veronica Chinyanga, who begged for her life as her husband turned on her in the back garden of their home in Broxburn, West Lothian, last June the 9th. The 42-year-old mum had predicted Chinyanga may not forgive her for previously reporting him to the police. Veronica was repeatedly struck with a pronged garden tool before being stabbed in the stomach with a knife. Chinyanga was described as calm moments after the killing. He now faces a life sentence after he admitted a murder charge at the High Court in Glasgow on Wednesday. The couple had moved to Scotland in 2008 from Zimbabwe. They had a teenage son together. Veronica's 20-year-old daughter also lived with them. Chinyanga worked in finance for the NHS. He was training to be an accountant at the time. His wife, born Chitsidzo but known as Veronica, was involved in a project to help international health workers adapt to a new country. Prosecutor Wojciech Jadelski told how there had been a history of domestic incidents between the couple. He added, despite some being reported, criminal proceedings were not concluded due to an apparent reluctance on the part of Veronica Chinyanga to attend court. In particular, her second failure to attend as a witness in a summary trial on May the 27th, 2024, 2 weeks before the murder, led to a discontinuation of the case. The charge had included a claim Chinyanga had been aggressive with his wife, struggled with her and pushed the mum in early 2023. On June the 2nd, Veronica texted one of her sisters that she believed her husband was not going to forgive her and was bitter at her calling police in connection with that alleged incident. Hours before the killing, Veronica had been with her children at an awards ceremony for her son's football team. Chinyanga did not attend. Veronica then drove home alone. Chinyanga later picked up his stepdaughter and her boyfriend before giving her the keys for the car. The couple then ended up alone in the home that night. Veronica's last message was at 7:30 p.m, asking her daughter to bring their car back as her son needed collected. Around 10 minutes later, neighbours, including young children, were aware of a disturbance at the couple's 3-bed semi. Mr. Jadelski then explained, Chinyanga carried out a violent and sustained assault on his wife, which lasted several minutes. At the outside, they were inside the house and then made their way into the rear garden. Chinyanga repeatedly struck Veronica on the head and body with a metal cultivator tool. Veronica desperately attempted to defend herself, but her husband continued the onslaught. She yelled, "He is trying to kill me." Audio footage from a nearby CCTV camera captured her horrific screams. This was played during the hearing. At one stage, Veronica tried to clamber over their 6-foot garden fence, but was dragged back down. Shocked neighbours repeatedly yelled on him to stop. The Advocate Depute Chinyanga did not say anything during the assault and did not seem to be panicking. He casually walked back into his house before returning, now carrying a knife. He went up to Veronica, stricken on the ground, and continued the assault, lashing out with the blade. Chinyanga was heard to shout, "Why?" The expressionless killer finally stopped, walked out his front door and asked a neighbour to phone the police. He was initially arrested for assault, with his wife still alive at the time. But en route to Edinburgh Royal Infirmary, Veronica's condition deteriorated. She went into cardiac arrest. Resuscitation attempts were made at hospital, but she sadly did not survive. The mum had suffered a fatal stab wound to the abdomen, thought to have been caused by the knife. She also had other injuries, including to her head. The court heard Chinyanga began crying when he told his wife had died. Lord Mulholland adjourned the case until next month, when Chinyanga is expected to learn the minimum he will spend behind bars. The judge stated this was a brutal assault on a defenceless woman. Chinyanga remains in custody meantime.
Town in fight to halt parking charge plan by Stuart Somerville. A West Lothian town is fighting plans to pay for parking and demanded wardens be reintroduced to police streets which have become an obstacle course. Just weeks after West Lothian Council unveiled proposals for new parking regulations, which include plans to charge for parking on town streets in the county, Bathgate Community Council has launched a petition to scrap the move, raising fears it could hit local businesses. The Community Council said this week that the charges betrayed townspeople. Detailed plans, including maps of the streets which would be affected in the Council's DPE rollout, will soon go before the 9 West Lothian Council local area committees on which councillors sit and the Community Councils serve. Bathgate will be among the first communities to have new parking regulations, including metered on-street parking, which is planned to be introduced within the next 3 years. But they are now calling for public support to stop the proposals and are encouraging other local communities in West Lothian to join the fight. This week, Bathgate CC laid down 3 key changes it wants to see. There were no parking charges in car parks, traffic warden enforcement of illegal parking and parking discs to manage time limits on high streets. A spokesperson said the council's proposed parking charges for high street and train station parking have betrayed previous assurances and could negatively impact local shopping and public transport use. A report presented to West Lothian's Environmental and Sustainability PDSP outlined 3 options. However, the proposed £5 daily charge at council-owned railway stations, which are Linlithgow, Livingston North, Livingston South and Uphall, has been criticised as it appears to contradict their active travel objectives of encouraging alternative transportation and reducing car dependency. Others have pointed out that station car parks owned by Network Rail are free for train users. The spokesperson added the proposed parking charges prioritise revenue generation over addressing community concerns and exploring effective parking solutions. The proposals also fail to consider utilising existing parking revenue, such as that from contracted car parks, to offset implementation costs. Bathgate CC says any surplus revenue from fines would be allocated to town centre improvement schemes. This alternative model could be considered as a potential 4th option, said the spokesperson. The Joint Forum has backed Bathgate Community Council and urged all community councils in West Lothian to review the proposals and consider expressing their support. A petition on change.org, which has so far garnered 231 signatures, says, "The town that we cherish and live in is gradually turning into an obstacle course because cars are frequently parked on both double and single yellow lines against the regulations. This brazen flouting of the rules makes it nearly impossible to drive through town and poses a considerable and unnecessary risk to our community's safety." The petition adds, rather than charging for car parks, which is counterproductive and unfair, efforts should be directed towards enforcing penalties for illegal parking. This would not only alleviate the chaos on our streets, but would incentivise responsible parking and allow for better flow of traffic through our town and pay for the parking wardens we need. We want the council to consider our option when they make the decision on parking, which would keep our car park free to use. And there's a picture there out in one of the main streets of Bathgate, and a policeman is taking the details down of a car that's parked in front of Semichem and Greg's.
Acquisitive crime will be tackled by a new task force, and this is an article. It's from the Assistant Chief Constable Tim Mayers. The theme of this week's column is acquisitive crime, and as the Assistant Chief Constable who oversees Police Scotland's response to such offences, I am grateful to Chief Inspector MacArthur Kerr for allowing me to provide an overview of our new dedicated team aimed at tackling retail crime across the country. Acquisitive crime accounts for 46% of all crime recorded by Police Scotland, and shoplifting makes up to 39% of this. This reflects a rise of 18% from the previous year. The Scottish Government has provided us with a £3 million revenue allocation to address retail crime for the year 25-26. With this, we have established a Retail Crime Task Force, a team of 14 uniformed officers and detectives and 4 civilian staff, including specialist analysts and an architectural liaison officer. The task force will work alongside a range of key stakeholders to deliver a 4-strand approach to tackling retail crime: prevent, pursue, protect and prepare. We aim to prevent crimes occurring by working alongside partners to identify at-risk young people and high-tariff offenders, then implement intervention and diversionary mechanisms that help stop the cycle of offending. As part of the Prepare strand, we'll explore ways in which the process of reporting retail crime can be made easier for businesses. To help protect retail sites, the architectural liaison officer will engage with premises to identify ways in which they can enhance security and crime prevention measures in place and reduce incidents occurring. Criminals will be pursued through the using analytical data and intelligence to carry out proactive enforcement activities in areas most heavily impacted. In addition to funding the task force, the investment will be used to develop diversionary programmes aimed at reducing reoffending and youth offending, focus on enforcement in relation to repeat offenders and organised crime. Where possible, whenever an individual is arrested in connection with a retail offence, we'll look to utilise the digital evidence sharing capability, DESC, to secure earlier criminal justice outcomes. We fully understand that when retail crime occurs within a premises, the offence is not victimless and can have a significant impact on workers, who then feel unsafe at their place of work. This is not acceptable. It's also unacceptable for anyone to feel that going into a store, taking goods and then harassing or attacking the employees can ever be justified. The establishment of the Retail Crime Task Force demonstrates our commitment to working alongside key partners and the retail sector to both prevent retail crime occurring, but to conduct thorough and professional enforcement activity to identify those responsible whenever it does arise. We know that enforcement alone cannot successfully reduce retail crime, and so the partnership approach to safeguarding stores and exploring opportunities to work collaboratively to address the root causes of such offences will play a significant role in the work of the task force. I am grateful to the Scottish Government for the funding allocation that has made this possible, and to the agencies who we will work in partnership with to reduce retail crime.
Support for changes to school term, article by Stuart Somerville. A majority of parents in West Lothian is now backing a week-long February school holiday, it has been claimed. The February mid-term break has in the past been seen as a curse by many parents and children, too miserable to stay at home, but too soon after the expensive Christmas for a holiday in sunnier climes. But now it is not just winter sport-loving families who are supportive of the break, local education leaders have been told. The Council's Education Policy Development and Scrutiny Panel heard this week that a majority of families chose the week-long holiday option for the school term dates in 2026 to 27. While the decision has yet to be ratified by the Education Executive, it was supported by the PDSP and puts the Council into line with neighbours in the Lothians. Where West Lothian differs is at the September weekend break, and the local EIS rep urged a rethink on those plans. Heather Hughes said local members of Scotland's largest teaching union lost out under the local plan of giving Friday and Monday off instead of Monday and Tuesday. Hannah Haywood, a customer services manager with the council, said a survey was held last October which produced almost 12,000 responses. This survey went out to pupils, teaching and non-teaching school staff, parents and carers. In the results, 6,749 parents or carers, or 48% of respondents, backed the February and October week, alongside 6 weeks in the summer and 2 weeks at Easter. The next highest support came from pupils with 2,240, or 24% in favour. More than half of teachers and non-teaching staff also backed the option. Of the total number of votes cast, 43% of all wanted the February week over and above a long weekend. When the week-long break was first mooted pre-COVID, many parents objected because it placed extra holiday demands so soon after Christmas, during a month of predominantly bad weather, and a time when many parents struggled to get time off. Parents of senior pupils also voiced fears of disruption to exam preparation. In her report to committee, Ms Haywood said, further comments from parents and carers were received suggesting various options, including longer summer holidays, shorter summer holidays, changing the day off for Spring Day to the end of May Bank holiday, matching other local authority session dates, and having fewer long weekends and short breaks. Overall, there was no consensus in the comments. The most popular option from the survey was for 6 weeks in summer, 1 week in October, and 1 in February. This pattern of holiday has therefore been used for the proposed dates for the 2026-27 school year. Local EIS rep Heather Hughes asked, why do we always have Friday, Monday rather than Monday, Tuesday? Because we have the asymmetric week, it is actually not a full day for us. We don't get paid as if it's a full day for those people who work part-time who only work on a Friday. So actually, we are being cheated out of a bit of a holiday. We can take that comment on board, said Miss Haywood. In the 26-27 year, the September weekend is also out of kilter with the other parts of the Lothians, which have already decided their weekend. Normally they tie in. Other holiday dates do not match with those known in Mid Lothian and Edinburgh, though both those councils also break for a week in February. Neighbours in Falkirk and South Lanarkshire have yet to announce their dates. South Lanarkshire has never offered a week holiday in February, only a long weekend with an in-service day attached. The PDSP also heard that a planned Teachers' in-service day for May the 5th next year has been moved to the 7th of May to coincide with the Scottish parliamentary elections, when a lot of schools will be used as polling stations.
Huge rise in requests for homes, an article by Stuart Somerville. West Lothian has seen a surge in applications for council homes because Edinburgh and Glasgow are full up. A senior housing officer outlined the effect of the removal of local connection rules as she described the council's own homeless strategy to replace a national programme. The rules on local connection were changed in November 2022 to allow people to apply as homeless to any council in Scotland from anywhere in the UK. Sarah Kelly, the Housing Needs Manager, delivered proposals on the new local strategy to tackle homelessness to this month's meeting of West Lothian Council's executive. Linlithgow SNP member, Councillor Pauline Orr, asked if the Housing Department knew how many applications had come from outside the county. Ms Kelly said the number was being collated by hand following requests of another committee, and housing officers would soon be able to provide councillors with a figure. She told the meeting, "We are seeing an increasing number from the UK presenting to us, particularly across the Central Belt, where cities like Glasgow and Edinburgh are essentially being billed as being full up. They are coming across in counties like Falkirk and West Lothian." The executive also heard that West Lothian had seen surging demand for housing among the 16 to 24 cohort, a demand which is growing at 5% a year. George Paul, the Executive Councillor for Housing, said, "I'd like to congratulate the staff and officers who have pulled this report together. It's very comprehensive." He added that the policy responded to the housing emergency declared in West Lothian across other councils and now by the Scottish Government. This is a result of the crisis caused by the lack of funding by the Scottish Government. I'm glad the opposition has read the paper and has seen the work this council is doing. Excuse me. Councillor Pauline Stafford, the Deputy SNP Group Leader, thanks to Sarah and her whole team. They do an incredible job. I think most of our casework is taken up with housing inquiries. And until we are building adequate housing to meet that need, I'm sorry to say that a lot of things will improve around the edges, but it is not going to tackle the roots of this problem. Councillor Stafford added that she would like to hear reports back on how the strategy was working, adding, "I know that the long-term impact and harm of being within that homeless system and the repercussions of that are huge and go on for a long time, especially for young people." Chairing the meeting, Councillor Lawrence Fitzpatrick, the council leader, said, "I think we all agree in this chamber that our housing and building services are doing an excellent job." In the report to the executive, Ms Kelly said, "Despite positive achievements in reducing homeless demand locally, the pressure for increased homeless services has remained critically high. This is leading to ongoing financial strain for the council and systematic failures at a national level in terms of the shortfall in supply of affordable social homes and resources to meet increasing demand and additional homeless duties introduced over the past 5 years." She added, "The imbalance between supply and demand of affordable homes is the most significant challenge faced by social housing providers and in West Lothian, where there is sustained high demand for social homes. The area also benefits from exceptionally high tenancy sustainment levels, which, whilst is a positive outcome for those who secure permanent housing, ensures a depressed turnover rate of letting, reducing the council's ability to move homeless households out of temporary accommodation. This position has driven up the use of unsuitable accommodation and breaches our statutory duties."
Young barristers brew up a future at school. Pupils get hands-on at Academy Coffee Shop by Stuart Somerville. Senior pupils in West Lothian have been getting hands-on training in how to be a coffee shop barista as part of a scheme to learn wider skills to prepare for the world of work. Senior students at Whitburn Academy set up their own coffee shop, Brewburn, which offers training to pupils. An S4 student told counsellors on the Education PDSP that working in the coffee shop had boosted her confidence and given her the skills to earn when she leaves school. Barista training is one of the transferable skills pupils in the senior phase of West Lothian's high schools can take on. Avril McLean, a quality improvement officer with the council, told the PDSP, "Many of these wider achievements are recognised through accredited awards, leading to skills building and attainment. Thousands of senior pupils have gained new, transferable skills alongside hires in a variety of skill sets, from first aid training to volunteering in primary schools and care homes, as well as undertaking Duke of Edinburgh award schemes." Heather Forbes, the head of humanities at Whitburn, introduced 4 senior students: 6th years Sagler and Grace, and 4th years Alicia and Amy to the counsellors. They described their experience of working in the community. The older students had worked as maths ambassadors, helping primary school children build their confidence in maths before they transitioned to high school. Alicia and Amy helped set up Brewburn as part of Nat 5 courses in retail and travel and tourism. Amy told the meeting she planned to study childcare on leaving school, but the barista training had boosted her confidence and could help her find work as she studies. Mrs. Forbes told counsellors, "Our main aim is to encourage participation in the wider life of the school and the wider community and allow students to develop skills, qualities and attributes required for life beyond school. Councillor Pauline Stafford said how apparent it is that these courses and these opportunities have brought us 4 really confident young people. I think it's fantastic. You are a real credit to your school, and I wish you good luck in whatever you do next. AIS rep Heather Hughes said congratulations to the girls. It's a massive deal entering the council chamber. I think they spoke brilliantly. The EIS is absolutely advocates for moving away solely from academically centred, and I really hope that West Lothian looks at the success at Whitburn and does more. I hope this is the beginning of a picture that develops where we create rounded individuals ready for the workplace. A report to councillors said, given that retail is a significant labour market in West Lothian, a range of qualifications is available in a number of schools that fully support the pathway. Some of the wider achievements from the 23-24 session include 41 young people achieving the SCQF Level 5 Barista Skills Award and 192 young people achieving the Skills for Work Level 5 Travel and Tourism Award. The report added, additionally, the National Progression Award, or NPA, in Customer Services at Level 6 is offered in most secondary schools, with 247 young people successfully achieving this qualification in the last session. Many senior phase students have also gained awards for volunteering skills. These awards recognise their contributions both within the school, such as supporting young learners, or serving as subject ambassadors, and in their local communities. In the 2023-24 session, 2,281 young people earned the Level 6 Award in Emergency First Aid at Work, a vital life skill already benefiting local communities. Additionally, 857 young people received the Level 6 Leadership Award, which equips them with highly transferable skills essential for their future careers. And there's a lovely picture of the girls in their Whitburn Academy aprons, and they've all got a lovely cup of coffee.
A whole host of Easter activities at the centre. The Centre Livingston is hosting a variety of activities for children during Easter, including a first ever Wicked sing-along movie night, free arts and crafts and storytelling sessions, and, backed by popular demand, football sessions in partnership with West Lothian Youth Foundation. All of the profits from the movie night will be going to the children's hospices across Scotland, CHAS. The first of its kind Wicked sing-along event will take place in the shopping centre after hours on this Saturday, with tickets costing £10 plus booking fee. On the night there will also be free painting, and everyone attending is welcome to dress up as their favourite Wicked character. CHAS provides the only hospice services in Scotland for children and young people with life-shortening conditions. Xenia Dove, community fundraiser at CHAS, said, "We are so grateful to the Centre Livingston and everyone taking part in this incredible Wicked sing-along movie night. Knowing the families will come together for a night of music and fun while also helping us to bring moments of happiness to children with life-shortening conditions means the world to us. Every ticket sold, every song sung helps us to continue our vital work supporting families across Scotland. From the bottom of our hearts, thank you." From Saturday, April the 5th until Friday, April the 11th, there will be free football sessions running in the Centre Livingston in partnership with West Lothian Youth Foundation. When it comes to keeping little ones entertained during the Easter holidays, there will also be a host of free arts and crafts activities taking place in the Easter Garden in front of New Look from April the 14th to the 20th at 11 a.m. to 4 p.m, featuring a cherry blossom tree, giant daffodil, coloured eggs and bunnies. Kids can join storytelling sessions every day at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. and take part in arts and crafts, including floral wreath making and plant potting, as well as supersized games like 4 in a row. For more info, visit www.thecentrelivingston.com. And I do hope it's a very successful event. We'll take a break now to bring you the intimations.
Beck Victoria Francis, Vicky, aged 42 years, of Livingston, Tuffican and Aberdeen, attended Linlithgow Academy. Sadly passed away on 26th March. Beloved daughter of Ian and Ros Beck, loved sister of Adam and Imogen. Funeral service on 15th April, 2:30 p.m. at Murray Crematorium. Family flowers only. Donations if wished to Just Giving, Girl Guiding.
Belle, Betty. Peacefully at Forth Valley Royal Hospital on the 27th of March, Betty, formerly of Craig Street, Blackridge, aged 94 years. Beloved wife of the late Stuart, loving mother to Nancy, and a much-loved mother-in-law, gran and great-gran. And now we'll return to the news.
Garden Centres Easter events. Dobby's Garden Centres is welcoming families to hop along and get set for spring at its brand new Easter-themed events taking place at its Livingston store. Families can book a brand new Easter Bunny afternoon tea taking place on Monday, April 21st. Children can tuck into a selection of freshly made bunny-shaped sandwiches filled with jam, cheddar cheese, ham and tuna mayonnaise. They can also enjoy Dobby's famous scones, served with Cornish clotted cream and a spot of jam, and a delicious selection of sweet treats, including a mini donut, gingerbread man, and waffle finger with dipping chocolate and sugar strands and chocolate chip toppings. For $8.75, adults can select a hot drink of filter coffee or tea, plus a slice of triple chocolate cake, coffee and walnut cake, or Persian lemon cake. And for £16, adults can enjoy afternoon tea, 3 tiers of delicious sweet and savoury treats. After everyone has eaten, children will seek out the Easter Bunny, who will be hopping about the Livingston store, and get involved in spring-inspired activities and games including the Bunny Hop Relay. They'll then enjoy a hands-on planting experience, learning how to grow their very own lettuce. During the event, children will also be given a mini Malteser chocolate bunny. The Easter Bunny breakfast is back by popular demand this year, taking place on Friday, April 18th to Sunday, April 20th. Families at the Livingston store can get stuck into an excellent breakfast, with children and adults having the choice of a traditional cooked breakfast, a vegetarian breakfast, or a breakfast roll. Tickets are priced at $8.75 for adults and $11.99 for children. For more information about the Easter events and participating stores, visit www.dobbies.com/events.
And Easter fun at the zoo. There's an exciting day in store at Five Sisters Zoo for the whole family on Easter Sunday. The animal attraction in West Calder has an unforgettable day scheduled packed with festive fun. They are inviting guests of all ages to come along on Easter Sunday, April the 20th, and enjoy a jam-packed schedule of activities and springtime surprises, including meet and greet with the Easter Bunny, face painting for the kids, and an Easter bonnet competition. Whether you're hunting for eggs, snapping photos with the Easter Bunny, or just soaking up the spring vibes among the animals, it's set to be a day to remember. The zoo opens from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Tickets must be bought on arrival and can't be booked in advance.
Masked Cleaver Gang Raid Shop, written by Ryan Tom. Masked thugs, armed with a meat cleaver and hammer, held up a West Lothian shop in a terrifying armed robbery. A worker was threatened with weapons during a raid of Mid-Calder convenience store around 7 p.m. on Monday, March 31st. 3 men ambushed the community shop on Bank Street. The gang also brandished a fake gun in what was described as a frightening incident for staff in the shop. They stole a number of items before fleeing the scene along a footpath and through a woodland trail. Police have launched a manhunt for the 3 males and issued descriptions for each of them, who were all described as being in their late teens or early 20s. 2 of the men were wearing dark-coloured masks. Officers at Police Scotland have urged members of the public to contact them on 101 quoting incident number 3638, Monday, March 31st. A full statement from the force reads, "We are appealing for information following an armed robbery in West Lothian. Around 7 p.m. on Monday, March 31st, 3 males entered the Mid-Calder convenience store on Bank Street and threatened a worker with weapons, including an imitation gun, meat cleaver and hammer. They stole a number of items before running off down the footpath to the side of the Fork and Field and into the woodland trail, locally known as Rabbits. There were no injuries and inquiries are ongoing to trace those responsible. The 3 males, all described as being in their late teens or early 20s, are described as 1. White, around 5 foot 10 inches tall and of slim build, wearing a blue-black ski mask, camouflaged hooded top, black body warmer, black joggers, black trainers with a white trim, red gloves with black on the inside and had a black rucksack. Number 2, white, around 5 foot 10 tall and of slim build, wearing a black mask and red glasses, grey North Face jacket, black joggers, black trainers, carrying a red hold-all. 3, white, around 5 foot 7 tall and of slim build, wearing a black jacket, black Nike joggers, black trainers with white trim, and a black Nike bag. Detective Constable Lynn Miles added, "This was a frightening incident for staff in the shop, and it's vital we trace those responsible. Anyone with private CCTV, doorbell cameras or dash cams in and around this area is urged to review that footage and bring anything of significance to our attention. Anyone with information should contact Police Scotland on 101 or Crime Stoppers on 0800 555 111.
Arrested and charged after drugs recovery. A 32-year-old man has been arrested and charged following the recovery of drugs worth up to £200,000 in Livingston. Officers executed a warrant at a property on Park Place around 10 a.m. on Tuesday, April the 1st. A quantity of herbal cannabis with an estimated street value between £160,000 and £200,000 was recovered by the police. The man is due to appear at Livingston Sheriff Court on Friday, May the 9th. Detective Sergeant John Irvin spoke to the media following the recovery. He said, "Drugs cause misery in our communities and officers continue to work to bring those responsible for the production and sale of illegal substances to justice. The public has an important role to assist with this, and we ask anyone with information or concerns about drugs to report them via 101. Alternatively, you can call anonymously to Crime Stoppers on 0800 555 111. And now we'll take a break, and the second part of the recording will start soon after that. And now we'll start section 2, which has some main news articles and also some sports news.
Council to work with others to develop EV plan, article by Stuart Somerville. West Lothian is to work with neighbouring councils to develop a region-wide plan to develop charging infrastructure for electric vehicles. Edinburgh Council is the lead local authority in a group which includes immediate neighbours in Falkirk, Mid and East Lothian, as well as the Scottish borders, Dumfries and Galloway and Fife. The agreement comes despite the fall in the numbers using existing EV charging points and a slowdown in the sale of EVs. The Council's Energy and Climate Manager stressed that the plans were proposals across 8 council areas for infrastructure as the use of EVs grows in the longer term. The Council estimates that it would cost around £3.2 million to fully equip West Lothian with electric vehicle infrastructure, the majority of which would be private sector investment. Councillor Pauline Stafford asked, with the inter-authority agreement, will we have any control of the charges that we set, and do we also have any control over the number of charges? Peter Rogers said yes on both counts. The council will have control of any tariffs set. The locations are largely set out in the council's plans from 2023, but there is flexibility around. He added, "We have been working with Scottish Power behind the scenes, and they are comfortable that it can be done quite feasibly." Councillor Stafford said, "A lot of the usage figures are low, Why are we looking to expand when the figures at existing sites are so low? Do we think they are going to improve? Mr. Rogers answered that delays to the phasing out of petrol engines had probably added to the delay in sale of electric vehicles, but the expectation was that long-term, the legislation would drive the sale of EVs. The rise in demand has not come through as anticipated, but with the length of contract, the forecast increase will come. And I suppose there is the argument that there will be people who aren't moving to EVs because the infrastructure isn't currently there, who will once the infrastructure is provided locally. Councillor Veronica Smith asked about the variance in charging costs, where those with home charging points could charge a vehicle for 7p, while street charging could cost 48p. Mr. Rogers said that councils hoped to even out the costs as the charging network developed. Councillors on West Lothian's executive welcome news of the progress on a joint regional project which will help keep costs down as the public electrical vehicle charging infrastructure ECVI develops. Councillor Sally Pattle told the meeting, "This is very exciting. I just want to say congratulations. This is a fantastic example of how local authorities have regionally clubbed together to get the best value for consumers. Well done for less money."
Plans to turbocharge industry. An article by Michael Pringle. Livingston constituency's Westminster representative recently met with local business leaders to discuss how the UK government can help turbocharge industry in the area. Gregor Poynton held a round-table discussion with companies from across West Lothian aimed at outlining the ways in which they can thrive under the Labour administration. The Labour MP, who is a member of the UK Parliament's Business and Trade Select Committee, spoke with representatives from a range of industries, including manufacturing, services and education and skills. Gregor Poynton MP said, "West Lothian is home to some wonderful businesses who are providing vital services, driving excellence in their respective fields, and in many cases who are at the forefront of innovation as well. I wanted to meet with bosses to stress just how vital they are to the local economy and to get over just how much the Labour government can do to help them." A number of companies again flagged concerns over staff and skills shortages, and that's something we are already working to tackle. Earlier this month, we announced the initial steps of our Plan for Change, designed to give the nation the thriving workforce it needs. That will see extra help for the sick and disabled to find jobs. We've also torn down a host of regulatory barriers that had previously hindered economic growth to promote a more business-friendly environment and introduced a new industrial strategy for the UK, which will support the 8 highest growth sectors, centred around addressing infrastructure challenges, attracting investment and enhancing international competitiveness. International trade is an area in which we should also be helping businesses, and I'll be doing all I can to forge opportunities overseas for our superb local operators. Linda Scott, CEO of West Lothian Chamber of Commerce, added, "It was great that Gregor spent time with us and the members really enjoyed the meeting, but more than that, they were pleased that he genuinely seemed keen to listen and to engage with local businesses. We hope this can be a regular thing and he can keep us updated on how the government can support us as local companies navigate their way through the various challenges on the horizon. Hopefully, by working together, everyone in the area can benefit." And there is a photograph of Gregor Poynton also actually sitting around the table with the CEOs of the various companies.
Showtime for young musicians. An article by Michael Pringle. A talented tenor horn player blew away stiff competition to be named West Lothian's Young Musician of the Year for 2025. Gifted Tyler Clark, a pupil at West Calder High School, was awarded the title at the finals of this this year's competition, which took place in Dean's Community High School, Livingston. Tyler will now perform later in the year at the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland, where he will represent West Lothian in the Scottish Young Musician National Final. Council leader Lawrence Fitzpatrick opened the event at Dean's Community High with a welcome speech, which saw 12 talented young people from a dozen secondary schools across West Lothian compete for the top prize in front of a supportive audience of family, friends and invited guests. The judging panel of former Dean's Community High pupil Arlene Cochrane, ex-Broxburn Academy student Connor James Smith, and New Zealand-born trumpeter and conductor Bede Williams, who lives in West Lothian, were hugely impressed by Tyler's rendition of Variations on a Welsh Theme by Peter Neal to award him the top prize. Linlithgow Academy singer Colm Cameron, who performed Schubert's Die Forelle, and St Kentigern's Academy pianist Julia Boychuk, who played the Interstellar Experience inspired by the Hans Zimmer movie soundtrack, were named as runners-up. Last year's winner, pianist Letitia Chan, a fellow West Calder High pupil of Tyler's, also performed on the night, along with the other finalists. Vocalist Caleb Snedden from Armadale Academy, pianist Orla Roden from Bathgate Academy, French horn player Layla Galloway from Dean's Community High, drummer Jack Pilu from Inveramond Community High School, pianist Annabelle Chow from the James Young High School, pianist Papa Antwi Donkor from Sinclair Academy, violinist Soila MacDonald from St Margaret's Academy, guitarist Alan Bishop from Whitburn Academy, and pianist Rudy Ray Morris from Winchborough Academy. The winners of the West Lothian Ensemble of the Year competition earlier this year were also presented with their prizes at the event. West Calder High School Brass Ensemble received the Brass Ensemble Prize, while Dean's Community High School Soul Band was presented with the Open Ensemble Trophy. The event was organised by West Lothian Council's Instrumental Music Service and secondary music teachers to showcase the talents of local young people in West Lothian. Executive Councillor for Education Andrew Maguire, who presented the awards, and all the finalists with their certificates said huge congratulations to Tyler Clark from West Calder High School on becoming the third West Lothian Young Musician of the Year. The judges had a tough decision to pick an overall winner among all the fantastic talent on display, but Tyler's performance stood out. I would like to wish Tyler the best of luck when he represents West Lothian at the Scottish Young Musician National Final in the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland in Glasgow on Sunday 25th of May. Well done to everyone who performed on the night for highlighting the wide range of musical talent we have in West Lothian, spanning a wide range of instruments and styles. Special mention also to our runners-up Colm Cameron from Linlithgow Academy and Julia Boychuk from St Kentigern's Academy, as well as our ensemble winners West Calder High School Brass and Dean's Community High School Soul Band. And there's a huge photo display of all the groups and individuals with their instruments at the event.
10 years for Fear Behind the Drug Factory. 2 drug traffickers who ran a huge street Valium factory that manufactured millions of pills have been jailed for 10 years. Kevin Ramage, 64, and Derek Wilson, 36, made itazolam tablets, also known as street Valium, from one of 3 units on an industrial estate in Broxburn, West Lothian, between July 2020 and December 2021. Their drugs operation was uncovered after police raided industrial units at the Alban Industrial Estate in December 2021. Officers discovered pill presses normally used to manufacture pharmaceutical drugs, alongside a haul of 60,000 tablets, 20,000 fake tablets, as well as powder capable of manufacturing a further 20,000 pills. The drugs had an estimated street value of £100,000. One large pill press at the address had the capacity to churn out 120,000 tablets an hour, while another machine could manufacture 40,000 every 60 minutes. On the same day, cops raided the homes of the two accused and removed a number of phones which were later examined. Analysis of the phones disclosed evidence of extensive drug dealing over a period of 18 months. The pair were sentenced to 10 years at the High Court in Edinburgh after being found guilty by a jury of being concerned in the manufacture and supply of controlled drugs, following 8 days of evidence. Ramage of Tranent, East Lothian, was sentenced to 4 years and 6 months in prison, while Wilson of Broxburn was jailed for 5 years and 6 months. Moira Orr, who leads the major crime for the Crown Office and Procurator of Fiscal Service, COPFS, said, "This was a coordinated effort to distribute significant quantities of illegal and harmful drugs. These men are now serving prison sentences thanks to an extensive police operation working with COPFS to investigate a network of drug supply."
Dad sheds £50 to change his life. Article by Jacob Farr. An inspirational West Lothian dad has told how he beat obesity by shedding over 3 stone after being unable to look in the mirror. Thomas Mackay, 32, topped over 14 stone at his heaviest after becoming a father and following the COVID pandemic. He admitted he began to feel low and out of control after his wedding, which made him take control of his weight and fitness. An old pal who runs fitness club More Than Fitness, MTF, reached out to Thomas to let him know he could help, but it was not until the dad felt ready to make the step that the pair worked together. After a lot of hard graft over the course of around a year, he lost the equivalent of 3.5 stones. Thomas has now completed several half marathons, 1 full marathon and a 24-hour endurance test. Speaking on Edinburgh Live, he said, "I was actually shocked to discover I was inside the obese category. That really shook me, as I had a stereotypical image of someone with obesity being much, much larger. I had let all my self-discipline slip since becoming a dad 11 years ago. Probably something a lot of parents do. We put so much into the kids that we neglect ourselves. However, COVID and the lockdown was a massive excuse for me to give up on the thought of exercise or watching what I ate. Like many, I bought the beer machines and ate more with little to no exercise, and the decline just accelerated. Increasingly, I avoided the camera and mirrors and lost all my self-esteem. My confidence had completely escaped me, and I felt sluggish and tired almost all the time." After his wedding, Thomas was unable to stick to a consistent exercise and dieting regime. He said, "The big day came and went, and despite dieting a little, I hadn't managed to get in shape how I would have liked. This triggered thoughts in my mind like how I'm letting myself down and what sort of example am I setting my kids. The last one lit the blue touch paper." His pal Grant MacDonald, who runs MFT, got in touch and encouraged him to give fitness a go. He suggested Thomas should join his 5 a.m. club, a small group with no more than 10 people who would support and journey together in fitness 4 times a week at his unit. Thomas said this concept transformed his life. Also, I never wanted to give up. There were times that it was harder than the previous weeks. If anything, those moments would result in a spurt of new enthusiasm and goals being set to push the boundaries and further my own potential well beyond anything I could have aimed for in the beginning. For instance, when I started the 5 a.m, I tried a run and could barely get 100 metres before passing out. Grant encouraged me to persevere. I started to walk or jog or run in July last year. I ran my first half marathon in August, a full marathon in October, and finished 10th overall in another half event in November. Grant's help was absolutely priceless. With anyone else, I truly believe I would have lost weight, but the level of fitness and self-belief I have gained would never have been reached. The extra care, above and beyond commitment and time you get from Grant is second to none.
Volunteers will help determine the future of centres. Council wants to hand over 30 facilities. This article is by Stuart Somerville. Volunteers' input is key to help shape the future of local community centres, West Lothian's council leader has said. The council is working to hand over the running of more than 30 community venues to local communities in a bid to cut costs. This has sparked concerns over whether the current numbers of community centres will be protected, and with a deadline of next spring for the huge work to be completed, one councillor warned, "We are sleepwalking into closures." An update on work to divest the community centres was presented to the Council Executive Committee this week. SNP Group Leader Janet Campbell told the meeting, "The goalposts have shifted and this is policy making on the hoof." But Councillor Leader Lawrence Fitzpatrick said the current system could not continue and thanked volunteers for taking part in the consultation process, adding their feedback will help shape the process going forward. Responses to consultations were received from all but one of the management groups, with 2 requested additional time due to their specific circumstances. 2 organisations said they were looking at a community asset transfer request to take over the facility themselves, with others considering this in the future. 4 groups gave a full repairing and insuring lease as the preferred option, with 2 preferring a recharge of costs model. Details of each agreement will have to be worked out on an individual basis. The majority of management committees put forward alternative suggestions, such as a different method of financial contributions or the creation of a trust or arm's-length external organisation. Further work will now be carried out with all the management committees to confirm a new sustainable model of operation. If this is not possible, other options, such as engaging with other non-profit organisations to see if they would like to take on the management role, will be considered. A timetable for the rest of the project has also been agreed, which aims to have an agreed option for every community centre implemented by spring 2026. Community wings in schools were included only in January, with the idea that savings could be produced from a standardised letting procedure across the school's estate. It was this late addition which prompted the SNP claim that the goalposts had been moved. SNP Group Deputy Leader Pauline Stafford added at least 12 centres were looking at having to find a massive increase in income to meet the new costs. It was a huge amount of work for staff and volunteers, she said. "I'd like to see more leadership from the administration so that we don't sleepwalk into these closures." Councillor Campbell said that much of the information contained in the March report was outdated and inaccurate. Julie Whitelaw, Head of Housing and Customer Services, said the details of the current report were based on results from January surveys of community centres and that officers were in ongoing dialogue with centres. She added it's very positive that there has been significant progress. Councillor Campbell said, "I'd just like to say a thank you to the officers, and I acknowledge that you have been given an almost impossible task. The goalposts have shifted and we have policy making on the hoof." Adding that Councillor Fitzpatrick had already promised that no centre should close, she suggested, "Should we go back to square one and start the process again?" Lib Dem Sally Patel said it had been clear from the outset that the current model was unsustainable. She stressed that the amount of work done already proved that a cookie-cutter solution was not practicable for the diverse range of community facilities, and acknowledged that the exercise had been stressful for the community centre management committees and council officers to produce a more sustainable portfolio. She added, "I think that we are still a long, long way from that, but I look forward to more information in June." Officers are working with community venues to encourage greater use of the centres and ways to increase income streams. Labour's Tom Conn suggested that MSPs and MPs who have office cost budgets could contribute more to use of the centre's venues for surgeries. He also took aim at the SNP opposition group, accusing it of refusing to acknowledge the financial restrictions imposed by the Scottish Government, forced the council to make changes for defunding of community centres. Councillor Fitzpatrick said after the meeting, "It's fantastic to see good progress being made to ensure every community in West Lothian will have sustainable facilities going forward. Most people understand the current system where the council incurs all the cost but gets none of the income can't be justified any longer. We must change the way they operate to ensure that all our communities will continue to have a centre for local use in the future." Huge thanks to all the management committees who have taken the time to provide feedback. Many have put in a great deal of work already, and their feedback will help shape the process going forward. Councillor Fitzpatrick added, "I would also like to thank all the council officers and those in the voluntary sector who are working to assist management committees to find a revised operating model that works for everyone."
Provost bowled over by winning teams, article by Michael Pringle. West Lothian's Provost was bowled over when she met talented sportsmen and women who'd clinched silverware at the Borough Halls in Linlithgow. Provost Cathy Muldoon hosted a civic reception recently to mark the fantastic success of the West Lothian Bowling Association, the county's governing body for the sport of outdoor lawn bowls. Teams representing the West Lothian Bowling Association outdoor bowling season won several major national competitions in 2024, bringing honour not only to the association but to West Lothian in general. The achievements included the men's West Lothian BA men's team winning the Scottish Intercities and Counties Andrew Hamilton Trophy Team Championship, Scotland's most prestigious national team championship. This was followed up by the West Lothian BA men's seniors team making it a double by winning the Inter-Counties Matt Purdy Trophy. This was played in the East region of Scotland between West Lothian, Edinburgh, East Lothian, Mid Lothian, Stirling County, West Fife, Fife and Borders. The last time this prestigious double was achieved was in 2018. To add to those two special achievements, the Scottish Ladies Over 55's fours title was won by a quartet from Dean's Bowling Club in West Lothian. Provost Cathy Muldoon said bowling is such a fantastic sport and it's enjoyed by so many people. The WLBA achieved fantastic success last year and it was a pleasure to meet so many of the teams and congratulate them. Bowling clubs across West Lothian all share a fantastic history and play such an important role within their communities. Well done to them all and I wish them another successful 2025.
Living wage increase delights MP, an article by Ross Thompson. Thousands of the lowest paid workers in West Lothian will receive a boost in their incomes following a rise in minimum wages. Livingston constituency MP Gregor Poynton has said he is proud that up to 2,500 local workers in the local authority area received an uplift in their pay from April the 1st, the beginning of the new tax year, as new national living wage and national minimum wage takes in effect. The national living wage applies to those aged 21 and over. The national minimum wage applies from school leaving age. The increase by the UK government means full-time workers in the national living wage is up 77 pence an hour, up to £12.21 for those aged 21 and over. We'll see a real-term pay increase of £1,400 per year, which Labour say will help to provide families with better financial stability, improve living standards and kickstart growth as part of its plan for change. The hourly rate for those aged 18 to 20 years has risen from £8.50 to £10, and for 16 and 17-year-olds it increased to £7.55 an hour, up £1.15. The rate for apprentices has also risen by the same amount to £7.55. Labour say the move also allows for further workers to potentially benefit from positive spillover impacts, including possible wage increases for those already earning more than the legal minimum. This year is the first where the Low Pay Commission, the body which recommends wage rates, was instructed to look at the cost of living and inflation in its assessment. On top of this, the Employment Rights Bill, a key pillar in the plan to make work pay, will release an additional £600 a year to some of the lowest paid workers, Labour claim. Livingston MP Gregor Poynton said, "Labour has always been the party of working people, and so I am proud that the UK government will raise wages for up to 2,500 people across the Livingston constituency and West Lothian." Along with the 36 other Scottish Labour MPs, I have been backing the Labour government's plans to increase wages and give more Scots the opportunity of well-paid, secure work. For someone working in full-time on the national living wage, these changes will mean a £1,400 pay rise. For local apprentices, it will mean a pay rise of 18%, a real vote of confidence in the next generation of workers.
Boss eager to leave Championship now. Livingston 3, Queen's Park 0. Article by Ian Stephen. Livingston boss David Martindale admits he has enjoyed life in the Championship, but is desperate to get his side back into the Premiership. The West Lothian club moved 3 points ahead of Ayr United in the race for second place in the Championship with a comfortable home win over Queen's Park. The Lions took on the struggling Spiders for the second time in 6 days, after putting 5 past the Hampden side to win the SPFL Trust Trophy, and added a further 3 goals at Almondvale in an explosive first-half performance. Lewis Smith, Robbie Muirhead and Stephen Kelly were on target for the West Lothian side. Martindale said, "We need to try and get the club back to the Premiership. But what I will say is I've enjoyed the challenge. I've really enjoyed the Championship. I'm not saying year on year I would enjoy it, with a competitive fixture list, but it's a nice change this season, waking up every day with a chance to win the game of football." So that brought a real freshness and a real energy. It can become a slog. You're pushing water up a hill in terms of budgets and the gap, but the main objective is to take the club back to the Premiership. Martindale won't see many goals more stunning than Lewis Smith's opener for the Lions at Almondvale, as he cut inside to smash an unstoppable shot past Callum Ferry and into the top corner in 14 minutes. Livingston doubled their lead 3 minutes later when, from a corner, the ball broke to Muirhead and he smashed it into the net past 3 defenders. Ferry made saves from Scott Pittman and Kelly before Livy wrapped up the points in 40 minutes when Smith and Pittman combined to set up Kelly on the edge of the area, and he curled the ball into the bottom left corner. Martindale says they must hold on to their advantage in the table but face a hectic schedule. He said, "I don't think people understand how hard that is when you're consistently playing. The playoffs come at the back of a 38-game league season, so it's not easy. It's not easy." Livingston lost 1-0 at Dunfermline on Wednesday.
Get the job done, Lions. Martindale says second place is the focus. An article by Andy McGilvray. Livingston boss David Martindale says he's done enough homework on the teams they might face in the Premiership playoffs, but has told his men to make sure they finish second in the Championship. That continues on Saturday against Morton at Cappie Low, as Martindale comes up against former Lions coach Dougie Imrie, needing 3 points. Leaders Falkirk are 8 points ahead with 4 fixtures left, and Martindale is keen to finish second and avoid 6 games in the playoff. Livingston are 3 points ahead of Ayr in second and would start in the semi-finals, where United and Partick Thistle clash for the right to meet them. Martindale said, "Second is the objective. We need to try and finish second, which is what I spoke about when we felt the likelihood of automatic promotion was slipping away from us. We're top 4, so we've got a chance. Hopefully we can finish second, but there are still games to get ticked off to do that." It's a difficult schedule for 3rd and 4th. Tuesday, Friday, and then you're into the Thursday, Monday. It's a difficult schedule for 2nd, and it's heavily favoured in terms of the Premiership team, but we've done that ourselves in previous years and finished 2nd for the year we got promoted, so it's not insurmountable. We came up against the bottom end of the Premiership already this season. We've done a wee bit of homework on Ross County and St Johnstone because we had both of them in the Scottish Cup. We're in the playoffs, so I think first and foremost we've got to keep one eye on our next opponent rather than get away ahead of ourselves. I feel that I have enough information on the teams that are in and around the bottom end of the Premiership, but whether we finish 2nd, 3rd or 4th, we're still going to have to play Championship. So that's the immediate concern. On Saturday's opponents, Martindale said, "It's a difficult game. Playing against a bottom team is never easy. We need to go there, focus on ourselves and see where it takes us. But it doesn't matter if Morton were top 4, middle or bottom of the table. I think it's going to be Morton is to be a difficult game of... I think going to Morton is going to be a difficult game of football."
Clubnet's Extended Openings by Stuart Somerville. A junior football club in West Lothian has won extended opening times for its social club. Linlithgow Rose will also be granted a beer garden area to its permanent licence. There were no objections to the proposals to extend opening hours at the Brayhead Road club rooms in the town when an application for variation of licence came before councillors on West Lothian Licensing Board. Councillors backed plans to extend the opening hours on a Thursday evening from midnight to 1 a.m. and have an earlier opening on a Sunday with an extension from 12:30 p.m. to 11 a.m. The outdoor area has a licence to 9 p.m. and seating for 80 people. An agent for the club said the outdoor area had operated under occasional licences without complaints for the last 5 years. It is monitored by CCTV and trained staff. The team's ground is at Preston Field on the south side of the town. It plays in the Lowland Football League, which is the 5th tier of Scottish football, having won the 2022-23 East of Scotland Football League Premier Division.
Plenty of drama for drivers at Racewall. There was plenty of dramatic entertainment for spectators at Cowdenbeath Racewall last weekend. On a dry, by chilly evening, there was drama when one of the Stock Road drivers' throttle jammed open and he crashed into the wall, but took another car with him. Then, in the final, when an engine dropped its oil, it created havoc with the cars in close order, spinning on the slick. The saloon drivers were in good form, and as a result, there was no shortage of action with over 20 cars at the track. Among those in action were Jordan Cassie of Armadale, Longridge's Nicole Russell, Ian Lowe of Broxburn, and Winchborough's driver Barry Glenn. Cassie's car is now sporting the green and white checks to denote his Irish Open Championship success. He finished the opening heat in 10th place, but was spun in Heat 2 on a restart and then caught up in an incident in the final. However, neither of the other drivers managed to pick up a top 10 finish. There was a good turnout of pro-stock basic drivers, including Joanne Hilditch Harthill, Zoe Stewart Rathel, and Gail, John and James Payton from Polbeth. In Heat 1, Hilditch ended in 4th spot, just ahead of Gail Payton, but in Heat 2 went through to win, with John Payton 7th. Gail Payton was 4th in the final, but Hilditch was clipped and ended up against the wall.
School's Float Procession Plea by Michael Pringle. Researchers documenting the history of a float that regularly takes the top prize at Bathgate Procession are hoping the public can help unearth a photo from almost 60 years ago. Balbardy Primary School first produced a decorated float back in 1972, and since then they have thrilled onlookers each year as they've been driven through the town's streets. The school has an unbeaten track record at Bathgate Procession, winning first in Class 1 decorated vehicles an incredible 42 times in the last 53 years. It has also taken many other first places over the last 5 decades at other town gala days such as Blackburn, Armadale and Whitburn, Linlithgow Marches, Bowness Fair, Lanarmers Day and the Edinburgh Cavalcade. Former Balbardy pupil Audrey Templeton decided to record the history of the school's floats and along with Jason Earl Summers, Carol Johnston and Mary Simon has set about the task. Audrey said, "My kids used to go to Balbardy and I'm still involved with the float up there. I've been the float committee coordinator for the last 13 years and been involved for the last 19. The Bathgate procession is a big deal in the town. I realised the procession committee didn't have the information and neither did the Benny, the museum. It's the 100-year anniversary of the school this year, and I decided if I didn't start to put together the history of the float, then it would just disappear in time. I could go back 20 years, but no further than that. I remembered the old Janny and started to see if I could piece together the information. The Courier was a very good source, especially for early years. I also watched the late Jim Walker's videos of procession days, old photos from past float volunteers, and a scrapbook kept by the late Carol Gardner, which was most helpful of all. Audrey has been collating high-res photographs of the school's floats from each year and has managed to source them all with the exception of the first in 1972, and only has a grainy image from that year. Work on the first Balbardy float was led by the school's janitor, Alec Gardner, and his son, also Alec, who were ably assisted by a group of handy parents. They were responsible for turning out fantastic floats for around 30 years. There was a brief spell in the early part of the new millennium when the school float didn't happen, but with the exception of the COVID years, there has been one annually since. This year will be the 50th fantastic float to be built, with Aladdin the theme for 2025. Alec Gardner, who started it, did it for 30 years, and a lot of people won't even know who he is, yet he put so much time into it. I've gone all the way back to 1952, said Audrey, and documented all the winners of the Procession Cup, not just Balbardy. I don't have pictures of them, but have some of them. When I'm finished, I'm going to hand it all over to the Benny Museum and the Procession Committee, so they have a record. I wanted to put it all together before it's lost in time. The Bathgate Procession is over 180 years old, and the Procession Cup was previously used from 1933 to 1952 in a pageant linked to Edinburgh Royal Infirmary. Before the town schools got involved in developing their own floats, it was businesses who produced them, and among the former winners are the Co-op Transport Department and British Leyland. Audrey hopes that someone in the area may have a good quality photograph of the Balbardy float from 1972 to complete the set. She paid tribute to everyone who has given up their time over the decades to build the floats. A lot of work goes into producing the floats, and this is often done by a small group of volunteers, she added. They help to produce magnificent floats for the children of the school to be proud of, and ensured a bit of Balbardy magic was brought to the procession days. If anyone can help, then please email news@westlothiancourier.co.uk, and there's an array of photographs showing different themed floats over the years, including Peter Pan and Beauty and the Beast. They're terrific.
Martindale calls for 16-team league. Livingston boss David Martindale has urged SPFL bosses to listen to football managers when it comes to Premiership reconstruction. A proposal to drop the top flight teams to 10 has met with resistance, and there has been talk of increasing the Premiership to either 14 or 16 teams. Martindale says the bigger the better, but talk to those who are involved in games. He said, a 10 is a non-starter, not a valid story. It wouldn't work, and it's not what fans want. or what managers want. I've listened to owners, I've listened to fans. Managers, for me, are the best gauge here. Fans can be a wee bit biased in terms of what they want, if that makes sense from a football point of view, but managers are walking in these shoes. We're also football fans, but we're working in that environment, and I think every manager has come out and said they want to increase the size of the Premiership. I feel it's got to go to a 16-team league. That would be the best course. I don't think adding 2 more teams for 14 is going to have a huge significance on the league. I think we could probably go to 2 leagues of 16 and 10, so to speak. You've got to make it more viable for the teams below. So I would go 2 up, 2 down, and that would lead to a 16-team league. Martindale added, I think you need a top 16. That's the way forward. Everybody plays each other at home and away, and you maybe go into a top 6 split, so you're still getting the 4 old firm games. The teams sitting 7th to 16th just need to play each other once, and that adds to your future fixture list. Generally, that's the teams that aren't in Europe or aren't progressing in cup football. It brings in a wee bit more revenue in terms of the number of home matches you can have in a season. Whether you want a playoff game between 5th and 6th, 14th and 3rd in the big league below, a straight-out playoff game, I don't know. Keep the 4 old firm games for the broadcasters, but I think it's imperative that we try and reduce the fixture congestion for the top 6, because generally they're the teams that are progressing in cups and have been playing in Europe. I think it makes sense to try and reduce their fixture list while increasing games for the bottom 10. Instead of just adding 2 more teams to it, we've got to bite the bullet and get a bigger league. So it's got to be a 16-team league. That's it. Well, that's us at the end of this week's recording, so when you've finished listening to it, please put the memory stick back into the folder and return it to us as soon as you can. Please remember to turn over the address label, leaving the cut-off corner at the top right-hand side. And with that, it's goodbye from me, Rebecca.
From me, Sarah.
Good night.
Good night.